Welcome to episode 30 of the Wheelhouse. I am Andrew, and I'm back in Dallas. School has started. I'm back at SMU. I'm in my new Swazi apartment. It's really nice. And I thought a good addition to this place would be a Ouija board. So I bought one online, and it got here. I brought it open. I opened it up. It's on the table right now. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm really excited, but also a little sad because I know, Gus and Sterling, rest in peace, they were really excited about doing a Ouija board, and it's something we always wanted to do, but unfortunately we didn't have the time. So I guess this can be in their memory of sorts. So I'll go ahead and put my finger on it right now gently. Oh, it lit up. Look at that. Pretty neat. Oh, it's moving already. It went on a G. What does that mean? It's moving again. Now it's on an S. Wait a second. Those are the first letters of the names Gus and Sterling. What could that possibly mean? Someone's at the door. Let me go check. No one's there. Spooky.
Someone at the door?
What? Who are you?
It's Sterling.
Sterling?
Yeah, I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes.
Sterling, what are you doing here? I thought you were dead.
Man, I just been chilling here. I mean, we moved in together the other day. I don't know how you forgot that.
What?
And it's me, Garth.
Garth?
Yes.
Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
So pleased to meet you.
Gus ascended into heaven, so he's no longer
But you look
with
a lot
us,
like
but,
Gus.
Yeah.
Very surprising.
So I can probably stick around.
Wow.
You seem like cool guys.
I feel like we
Well,
could
one of
ride
you.
the coattails of his fame.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You seem like cool guys, so
Well, Garth and Sterling, I'm glad you guys are here to podcast with me.
Yeah, howdy.
How was your summer?
It was all right.
we were dead. So
It was pretty cool. Got to tour with Garth Brooks.
Ooh,
Which is pretty sweet.
Happy Outright featuring
Yeah.
Garth Brooks. How'd that go?
It was awesome. I mean, the crowds were different than you were used to, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty good.
lots of Trump rallies.
Lots of Trump rallies.
Was that your
yeah.
idea, Garth?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can.
How did it compare to your solo tours and whatnot?
They're the
touring?
same crowd.
Same? Okay.
The exact same crowd.
Yeah.
So how long was your tour in, about?
From the beginning of June to the end of June.
Mm-hmm. And
About-
you went
It was 3 weeks
Yeah.
to the
Okay.
day.
you
Yes.
were round up to a month. But you went
Yeah, yeah.
You started here in Dallas and you drove all the way to the East Coast.
He's trying to make it seem longer than it was. Trying to pad it a little bit. Be like, yeah, we were.
It's supposed to sound like years.
Yeah, we were on a summer tour.
You make a lot of things seem longer than they are.
Hey, now.
Anyway,
How is that supposed to mean?
you got to the East Coast and then something happened, right?
Yeah, Garth's van broke
It
down.
wasn't mine. It was the water boy.
The
Mason.
water boy Mason. His van broke down, and excuse me,
In Maryland.
in Maryland. So we stayed there for 3 days, shoveled up enough money for a rental van, packed all our stuff in, and drove home, saddened.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I live in Maryland.
We saw Andrew though.
Yeah.
yeah. We saw Andrew at the mall.
The day we were driving back.
The plan was for you guys to stay over in the
Yeah.
residence.
Well, we still had like a couple dates, and then we were gonna be in the area for a few days before going to Virginia, and we were gonna hang out with Andrew, do whatever. We were gonna stay at his house one night, but we didn't
were
do
gonna
that.
bathe and wrestle and stuff like that, but it just plans fell through.
Unfortunately.
Fell
Vans
through.
malfunctioned.
Now we have all year to do that though. So
Yeah,
To bathe and wrestle.
To
bathe and wrestle.
That's probably what we're gonna do right after this podcast.
right after every podcast from now on.
Yeah. And now you're back here.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy stories that happened on the tour? Any rowdy crowds or anything exciting like the van breaking down?
That's the most exciting thing that happened. Also one time, Mason locked the keys in the van too. We spent 2 hours trying to jimmy the door open with a closed wire.
We're legally obligated to not give much detail, if
Yeah.
you will. Yeah.
Our label doesn't really let us disclose that kind of information.
understand.
Lucifer,
Would you do something like this again?
Every day of
If
life.
you could.
Yeah. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do every day of life, but yeah, I'd do it again.
lot of
It was
life.
fun.
Sure.
It was a good time. overall.
Yeah.
Even when the van broke down, I was very happy
Even
to see
then,
Mason hurt.
In his soul.
That kind of stuff excites us,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. My summer, I've talked about already on the show. The main things were the film shoots for the feature film SMU does.
Sly 2 and 3.
Played Sly 2 and 3. Haven't played Thieves in Time yet. I had it
It's all right.
downloaded. Now it's not.
Oh yeah.
Because having some console troubles and whatnot. The other big thing was the cruise. Talked about that too.
Okay.
Any other things you guys want to get off your chest before we get into things?
My chest? Yeah, I killed a guy. I'm sorry.
Oh, is that what you weren't supposed to talk about on the tour?
Oh my God! What the? Yeah, we weren't supposed to talk about
some
that. Are you
Vermont
serious?
beheader or something?
Oh yeah, there was someone following us around called the Vermont beheader.
A serial killer.
A
of sorts,
serial killer,
if you will,
by trade,
per se.
and he beheaded people in the state of Vermont.
Yeah.
But rumor has it he followed us.
He followed us back. Yeah.
I just realized this was an inside joke,
Yeah. So
For
this
us.
isn't funny.
so it's not going to mean anything to
Anyway, if you guys haven't noticed, there's a Ouija board on this table here, which we'll play around with later.
Yeah,
Nice.
you need AAA batteries for this.
Yeah, I purchased
the
it on the
spirits.
prestigious Ouija website, Amazon.
Yeah.
I did some research, but I think this was the thing I settled on. Here you go. Ouija board game.
By
Good,
Hasbro.
good price.
3 out of 5 stars.
Oh, you got a
can't-
prime discount, I see.
Yeah, you can't really trust reviews when it comes to the supernatural,
Yeah. Why don't you show us some examples?
Yeah, so
here?
if you want a good time, you could go ahead and head over to the reviews for Ouija boards. And this particular model, you get some good stuff. Like this 1-star review by
Chuck.
who says, "This damned board game let a ghost loose in my house. Now it's haunted."
1 star.
1 star. But wouldn't you think like that's 5 stars? Because it's like you got
100
what you
people
wanted.
found
Yeah,
this helpful,
I guess.
you know?
Oh well.
Wow.
By the way, all these
I wonder
reviews
if you
are
ever got it
1
out.
star. Yeah. Next one here.
My sister had this
by
in
Amazon.
her
Subject
car.
title: Haunted by generic Amazon customer. My sister had this in her car when we cleaned it. We removed it from the car. The next time she drove that car, the brakes failed. Rear-ended the car in front of her, totaling her car. Lucky she was okay. That shit is haunted.
That shit is fucking haunted, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
By Amazon customer.
Yeah.
Speaks
They
for the people.
wanted to remain anonymous for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Pablo.
Oh my God. Pete
Review
Pablo.
by Pablo.
Oh my God.
Subject line: not meant for high-class ghosts.
Not meant for high class ghosts.
I tried to conjure up some ghosts and I was extremely unsuccessful. I did it alone on the phone with a medium and with 2 other people and nothing.
Oh my God.
The board is glow in the dark, which is a nice touch in
Oh.
case a ghost has problems finding their way to the little stone. I think the ghosts I live with are too pretentious to talk to me using a plastic triangle
Damn.
and a cardboard box.
Elitist ghosts.
I'm ashamed to use it now after hearing them scoff at me.
I like how these are all
Probably
1
gets
star
fucked.
reviews,
Yeah.
but
They're-
some of these people are 1 star because they got haunted, and some of
Yeah.
these people are 1 star because they did not get
Yeah.
haunted.
But there are some 1-star reviews that are a little disturbing, you can say, because some people take this a little too seriously.
Chilling.
Christy A. Smith says, I would recommend everyone to stay far away from this game. Spiritually, this game is terrible for your home and family.
Oh my God, that's ominous.
They're very mom-like.
Yeah.
But for me, the one that takes the cake is this last one by Brandy. Not a game, she declares. I would highly recommend not buying Ouija board or anything related. It opens doors that more than likely can never be closed to spirits that will often turn on you and your family. This is especially true if you have no clue what you're doing and don't pray for protection or bless your board. I very much believe in these boards and have heard the destruction they have caused many people. Do your research first. It's not a child's toy, nor is it any kind of game. You couldn't pay me to use one or have one in my home. If you must have one, look up prayers of protection to God and your angels to protect you if you use it for real.
Oh my God, did you do that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
The blessings?
Before you
Oh,
used
no,
the
Before you
board.
freaking called us?
Oh my God.
I thought the batteries were the blessings.
Dude, I'm out of here. This
Dude,
is.
yeah.
I'm gonna start packing my stuff tonight. This is serious.
On the Spirit plane, there's some creepy characters.
Yeah, us, having come back from the dead, we witnessed quite a bit of this
Yeah.
in the spirit plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Met Saddam Hussein. That was pretty weird.
Cool.
Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. He's actually kind of a nice guy. Like, people didn't get to know him, and they just were like, oh yeah, Saddam's a bad guy. But no, he's chill. Saddam's chill.
Good to know.
You want to know some Saddam Hussein trivia?
Sure.
All right. Well, my dad worked at military bases to do telecommunications.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, this was long after Saddam had been toppled, but in his, I guess, his palace, so to speak, I think they set up like a makeshift base there, and he had this whole room that was a copy of like a Flintstones setting because his kids were Flintstones fans, and so it was just like this replica of a Flintstones, I guess, Flintstones setting.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did they have the cars where they had to like run with their feet?
I doubt they had that now.
All of
But
those.
yeah, weird. Anyway,
Anyway,
there you go.
Saddam's a family man.
Yeah.
good to know. If
Yeah.
once I die, but we got a show to do. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Let's get into it.
By the way, spoilers. We do have Jacob Estrada on later for the final edition of Who is Bruce Springsteen. He's here right now, standing around, and I feel bad.
Yeah,
Jacob,
you thought
could,
you
like-
could replace us, bitch.
No, Jacob, you could like do.
Well, yeah,
like,
we
if you
saw
have stuff
you.
to do. You could go ahead and do it because we got to review a couple things. Like if you want to talk about, you could look over your notes about what we're talking about later. Yeah,
That I shall.
and then we'll let you know. Yeah, thanks.
So just sit in the corner like a prop until I'm needed.
Very good. Where you belong. Anyway, no, I'm excited to get back into the Wheelhouse vibes. I feel good vibes. Maybe it's that Ouija board talking about. I don't know. But
Just you wait, Andrew.
let me explain what the show's about. And I've done this so much over the summer, I don't even need to look at my notes. Every week,
Damn.
we recommend a piece of media to the other that none of us have, the other two haven't tried before. It could be a book. It could be a game. It could be an album. It could be a comic book. It could be wrestling. Who knows? Something crazy like that. We go out that week, we do it, and then we come back and review it. This week, we have an album, a video game, and TV show to recommend. But first, we're going through Angie's greatest hits. So over the summer, I did the podcast, and I got a lot of things recommended. And I picked some of my favorite things that I had to do, and I made you guys do it as well so we could talk about it. So the first thing we're talking about was the best movie I saw for the podcast over the summer, and it is Happiness, the 1998 film, the second film by director Todd Solondz. This is recommended by Lawrence Zhang, who is a big movie fan. And Todd Solondz, he had a film come out this year called Wiener Dog, and then Lawrence went back and watched all his films to watch Wiener Dog, and then said, yeah, Happiness is the best, recommended it. I watched it. I thought it was excellent. You guys had to watch it, and I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about Happiness.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Saw Lawrence today walking in the hallway.
Oh, really?
So shout out to Lawrence.
Did
Yeah.
you say hi?
No, I was in a classroom. So
Okay. Some background on this film. It's a very dark comedy. It follows the lives of different people in their search for sex, love, and of course, happiness. The ensemble cast consists of Jane Addams, Laura Flynn Boyle, and Cynthia Stevenson, who all play the Jordan sisters. Joy, who's meek and lonely, looking for a meaningful relationship. Helen, a hack writer who sees men as playthings. And Trish, a mother running a typical suburban household. Now, Trish is married to a psychiatrist, Bill Maplewood, played by Dylan Baker. He's also a pedophile. Finally, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Alan, a social recluse who uses phone sex as a release. And we sort of see all these characters intermittently. They all have their own sort of subplots, but we see them interact with each other. There are also more side characters also, but those are some of the primary.
Guest starring Cum, by the way.
Lots to come in
Yeah,
this.
lots of Cum.
Yeah, we need more come in films.
I know,
think.
right?
Yeah.
That's something I realized watching this. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen just a shot of just cum, you know? It's been missing, you know?
In classic cinema,
Yeah.
if you get my vibe.
To Kill a Mockingbird. No, not To Kill a Mockingbird. Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, when she's
Silence.
walking through the jail cell.
And
Yeah.
the guy throws it at her.
And she's like,
Yeah. But I gave a
I can smell your cunt.
yeah.
Sorry.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I did a huge review of this. So this time is for mainly you guys to talk about what you guys thought about Happiness. Take it away, you guys, Sterling and Garth.
Yeah. I've
I'd
never
probably give
seen
it
a
a
movie
7.
like this.
I'd probably give it a 7.8 out of 10.
Out of 10?
Yeah,
Exactly?
exactly.
Really
so.
specific
Why
number.
would you say that?
I just kind of get like, so I'm weird. I put like numbers into a generator. So 55,424 is how many times I rated this, and it just
All right, Sterling,
kind
what
of
did
came
you
out
think
to.
about Happiness?
I've never seen a movie like this my entire life.
Yeah.
It's close to Magnolia in a way because it's an ensemble comedy type deal, right? I really like how as it was going, like it kind of introduced you to these characters. You're like, oh my god, they're related. Oh my god, that guy works with that guy.
Yeah,
oh
I
my
love
god, that guy stalks this person.
Yeah.
It was also kind of unconventional into. I think there was like you kind of see one rape scene, and there's 2 implied rapes.
Yeah. No, I think there's more than. Weren't there 3?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
3 total. So there's like the rape spoilers, obviously,
Yes,
as
okay,
always.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Spoilers. We're talking about this
As
whole
always.
movie.
Yeah. What's her name? The neighbor of Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, who lives in the apartment complex. She was raped by the door guy, who was allegedly,
Christina.
beaten to death,
Mm-hmm.
and his penis was cut off. And then these 2 boys, who, God bless, they don't show it on camera, but they're both allegedly molested by the father character,
Bill Maplewood.
Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, who is a total wacko.
Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of shocking things about this film.
Yeah.
Gus, were you equally shocked about some of the things?
Super shocked.
Shocking movie.
Super. Yeah.
Like just the general rape cum vibe.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah. Just left me aghast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aghast.
But it's interesting because of how this film starts. You don't think it's going to go that way because the opening scene, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
It has a character. I think his name's
Aaron, right?
Andy.
Andy.
And he's on a date with Joy Jordan, and I thought he was going to be the main character for the whole thing, but you really only see him in that one scene.
Yeah.
They're on a date. They're eating out. And I just love that scene. It's like a perfect little mini story. It has like an arc. It like starts like, oh, things might go well, and then things go bad. It gets sad, and then it gets angry. And it's like really simply made. Also, it's just like 2 shots, like shot on him, shot on her. Pretty much that's the whole thing. But I think it definitely sets up like you're gonna be on an emotional roller coaster for this whole film, which is
Definitely.
what I felt. Yeah. What about talk about some of the emotions you felt?
Emotions. I think the very first shocking scene was when Bill's son comes to him and he's like, "Dad, what's come?" And that's kind of where all the craziness begins. Other than that, emotionally, other than being like either shocked or confused, I was mostly like, I was a little depressed by this movie because it's so sarcastic and it's also like a really realist type movie, even though everything's so ridiculous, but it's based in such a dark reality.
Yeah.
Like this is all so like possible, and all this shit happens every day to people.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god.
It's kind of fatalist too, because every time you think some character's gonna have a good turn, it always turns bad at the end.
Yeah. Which brings me to something you asked me the other day about the ending, and you were saying that you
Well,
and
yeah.
Lawrence disagreed.
We'll get to that
Okay.
at the end. But Gus, thoughts, emotions, what you feel?
All right. So, I coming back to the show, I thought it needed like a reboot sort of thing. So I decided to watch this movie from a whole different perspective.
While
Right.
sleeping.
No, it was.
With my
I
eyes
decided
closed.
I decided to read the movie on a synopsis. It's been hard to adjust. I've had a hard time to get back to school, and so I read Happiness.
All right,
Sounds cool though.
Garth, if that is your real name.
Uh-huh.
That's great and all. So, yeah.
So you two,
Yeah.
you can carry on.
We could talk about
Maybe I'll ask questions because I love dark comedies.
Yeah.
That's my speed. Well, the real reason I didn't watch this movie is because Andrew only gave us like a day's notice.
No, I did not.
And so
I gave a full week's notice.
A day and a half.
a day and a half's notice.
No.
And
had
I
it-
was like, okay, I only have 1 day left. I better watch this. And then I was trying to get it on, because I looked on Amazon, but I couldn't find it on Amazon. So I looked on YouTube, because you can rent movies on there. And it was available to rent, but every time I tried, maybe, I don't know, maybe my my billing information is wackadoo, but it wouldn't even tell me, like, if anything was wrong. It would just, like, it would like process it, and then it would just go away. And I was like, well, why isn't it giving me the full movie? Because that's what I usually rent it on. Like I rented what the hell is Reese's movie?
Before Sunrise?
No, it wasn't that one. It was Badlands.
Badlands. Same day, right?
Yeah,
That was the film
same
day.
day. I rented that on YouTube and it worked fine. But anyway, yeah, I haven't seen it. When I read it, it sounded really interesting though. And
Gus, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah.
Not that you didn't
Yeah.
tell me ahead of time, but that now
I feel like you'd really
ruined
like it
for
too.
yourself.
it's actually, I
It's
think it's
good.
a new. This is going to be my new bit on the podcast.
Not preparing?
Is not
Like
actually
Gus every
preparing.
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you.
Oh, classic Garth.
Anyway,
All right.
continue.
All right, Jacob, you want to switch out for Gus? No,
Yeah.
I'm just
Tap out. Tap out.
No.
I'm just sitting here.
Just like in wrestling.
Yeah.
Being ready to be you.
Oh, gross. So Sterling,
Yeah.
happiness.
Yeah. Happiness and come.
Yeah. Some of the points I brought up, let's see if you agree. I thought the film feels very balanced as far as the editing goes. Like there's
Sure,
a lot of time spent between characters that you never felt like, oh yeah, I forgot this person was a thing. Like it,
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
they're all tied together is like it feels like one larger thing.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that.
Um,
That's fair.
Now the Jordan sisters, their parents, they
Yeah.
have a subplot about getting a divorce, but don't call it a divorce.
Yeah.
I thought that was really boring.
Yes. Thank you. That was the least interesting one.
Yeah.
There was like an old person sex scene, and it grossed me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought their whole
Was it
whole
graphic?
subplot was just like it was really kind of tame compared to all the other
Okay,
ones.
well.
Yeah,
in a way.
it felt like out of place.
Yeah, almost like theirs felt more like a romantic comedy where a lot like even the sisters, like the three main sisters who, even the three main sisters have something kind of interesting or
Yeah.
quirky about them almost too, which is cool too. I like the fact that the three of them kind of drive the weirdness of the movie, and that Jane is like this over dramatic like musician type, and she's like, oh, I just want to get my career off the ground. She's like, hopeful, and then Helen is like this like stone cold fox, and she's like, yes, like she's got that deep voice, and all that stuff. And then we've got, what's the other one's name, the sister with the family, she's like with Bill. What's her name?
Trish.
She's like this really weird, like her character is so interesting because like everything she says like is super like mean and passive aggressive, and she's like, oh, you'll get your career off the ground, Joy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's funny. She's like a weird typical housewife with this like super sarcastic tone.
Yeah, I thought like that parent subplot could have been taken out, and then the film would have been like maybe 2 hours, which I think would be still a good amount of time. Now let's talk about the star of the show. You can say Bill Maplewood.
Yeah, probably the most interesting character.
Yeah, because I have a note here. We need more pedophiles.
Yeah,
Not in real life, Gus. Calm down. We need more.
I
Like,
couldn't agree more.
I don't think I've ever seen a film with pedophilia like this. Like, this is how it works. Like, this guy is a pedophile. This is what he does. This is like his method, and this is the repercussions and how it destroys a family.
Yeah, I can't think of one.
And so in that way, it's shocking, but in a refreshing kind of way. It's like, I've never seen this before,
Yeah.
When we watch all our movies, we get that feeling less and less. But I think you mentioned before that you thought he was very, like, do you like his character?
I love his character.
Are you sympathetic towards him? Or are you like, this guy's evil, I hate him,
There's no way that I can answer this without sounding weird. I'm not sympathetic towards him, but I wanted to see every time they cut back to his scenes. I was like, yes, tell me more about this. Like, please, you know
like,
what I mean?
whenever we're not seeing him, like, I want to get back to him.
Yes,
but then
it's
when we
compelling.
do, it's so uncomfortable.
Exactly, yeah.
It's so weird, yeah.
And I think that's amazing. Like this, again, like I said, I've never seen a movie like this
Yeah.
my entire life. So it was very refreshing in a sense. But I also kind of like seeing the repercussions, like you're saying, towards the latter half of the movie.
Yeah.
That's interesting because you don't want to see someone like Trish, who like if the whole story is about Trish, that would be boring. Like
Yeah.
she has like one complaint at the beginning of the movie, and you're like, I don't care about you, Trish. Like you suck. So you don't want a movie about Trish. You want a movie about Bill, basically, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
Too.
I felt sympathetic for him because he was portrayed as a guy, yes, he rapes little boys, and that's horrible. It's evil.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's, which I think is like the most beautiful scene is when he's talking to his son at the very end.
And they
they're-
start like crying.
And they're both breaking down.
Yeah.
And like, he admits to his compulsions. And it's like, yes, I have these and I would do it again. But early in the film, he even knows like there's something wrong with me. I feel sick. He tells his wife that in bed.
Yeah, one of the first things he does too is like run into a convenience store and like whack off in his car like a magazine full of little boys. Like,
and I was just like, at first I was like, oh, okay, this is that kind of guy. But then like you see him like trying to drug a kid by putting like a sleeping pill in his food, and
in his tuna sandwich.
Yeah, which he didn't want to eat, but he did. And yeah, that scene between them is just, it puts it in a way where I did overall at the end like feel sympathetic for him. Like you felt like he wanted to end those thoughts because he kind of knew that it was ruining his family.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the entire time Bill's frustrations are paralleled with his son.
Yeah.
Who, like the entire movie, he's trying to figure out how to like whack off, basically. And he keeps asking his dad all these questions, and you're like, he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
Don't ask him.
It felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then in that scene where they're like crying, he's like, Dad, would you ever fuck me? And he's like crying, and he's like, no, I jerk off instead. It's like, oh,
and
shit.
that's the I think that phrasing there is like it perfectly balances like the almost horror like elements, but also being kind of darkly funny. Because this movie is really funny. Like I laughed a lot in this movie.
Yeah, same.
How Bill tries and drugs this kid by trying to get the pill in the tuna sandwich and failing every time was built like a comedy. It's the funniest like version of trying to rape a kid I've ever seen. It's just so bizarre,
Yeah.
how it makes you feel, which is what we're talking about in the class. But anyway, let's get to that ending.
Yeah, okay.
So Lawrence said, I first said Todd Solondz, haven't seen this film, but the only thing I know is that he was very depressing, all the subject matter, all his films. Lawrence said, this film, it's sad, but the ending is optimistic. I watched it and I did not think it was optimistic, and I've said before, but first I want to hear what Sterling has to say.
I think it's optimistic as well because, the entire time you have this kid, I think it's Billy, right? And Billy is trying to whack it, you know, the entire time. And he asks his dad, he's like, Dad, what's come? Like, Dad, my friend has an 11-inch penis. Is that true? And like all this stuff.
Have you ever measured yours?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, your friend's full of shit. And he's like, Dad, I'm trying to come. I can't come, And at the very end of the movie, the entire family gets together.
Yeah, yep.
Billy is like staring. They're at a hotel, I guess, or the new place old people are living.
He's on the balcony.
Yeah, and he's staring out at this like woman taking off her swimsuit to tan her back.
Yeah.
And he's like whacking it on the balcony, and he comes.
Yeah, and you see it.
Yeah, you see the cum on like the little railing of the balcony, and suddenly the dog runs up and he eats the cum. Yeah. This is the end of the movie. The dog eats the cum,
licks it off,
and then the kid goes back while the family they're having this like discussion at the table. Yeah. He comes in, he's like, I came.
Yeah.
To me, that's very uplifting because he's trying to get to this point the entire movie, and even though all this terrible stuff, his family's falling apart and all this stuff, he learns how to do it.
Yes.
Maybe that's through realizing his dad's sexual frustrations. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's realizing that's not what he wants in life. But I feel like he's achieved something.
Yes. And like compared to the other characters, like he's the only one that gets what he wants in a way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And has a sort of happy ending, you can say. But for me, it's when you think about it, it's like, but this kid, it's going to be so messed up, growing up because of what happened with his father and stuff. But the bigger issue I had is like, what does the dog do after? Do you remember?
I forgot to mention. So the dog, eats the cum, goes over, and one of the, I think it's Trish, is like, oh, good boy, come here. And the dog like licks her on the mouth and kisses him, which is really funny. So that, to me, that's the kind of underlying darkness to it. I think it's kind of trying to remind you that there's this kind of nasty underside to their family and all this stuff. Even though, obviously Trish doesn't know she's kissing cum mouth on the dog. Cum dog. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's optimistic with kind of a dark hint a little bit.
Whereas the whole film balances that darkness and the humor. This was like straight comedy, and it felt really off. It was like, that's really silly. Yeah. And it borderline like to be a farce, where it's like sort of the characters become sort of immaterial, and it's more about the situations they're in. Yeah. And that sort of ending like I felt like it didn't fit in with the rest of the film that way. Okay. It made it like they're all in these like wacky situations, and the characters like they don't really change by the end. All the sisters there, like maybe the situation around them has changed, but they're really the same people when you think about it. But
it's interesting.
That point, and combined with the fact that like Billy's like messed up for the rest of his life, like not optimistic to me, but he did come.
Yeah, and the other shot of cum we haven't really talked about Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
He's
I didn't actually talk about
interesting.
him a lot in my first review either, but
He's interesting, but he, just like the sisters you're saying, he doesn't change at all either, really.
Yeah.
Like the entire time he's just kind of creepy. It seems like he might fall in love or have a love interest, but it turns out that this woman ends up killing the guy who rapes her, right? And then he's just weirded out more.
Yeah.
So nothing is accomplished there, which is kind of bizarre, but
Yeah.
And also he comes on the wall and puts a postcard over it, which is weird.
And there are a lot of postcards on the wall.
Lots of postcards, yeah.
But like that, that subplot and generally most of the subplots, they all work because they all sort of thematically revolve around the same thing. So it's all contributing to that one very like cum-stained idea
Cum-stained.
of happiness. So, all right, Gus, wake up.
Any
done
final
with
thoughts?
We're done with our
Final
review
thoughts.
of happiness.
Cool movie.
7.8.
We shall move on
Sure.
to, in general, my favorite thing I had to do for the Wheelhouse was this little thing recommended by my friend, Joe Pizzula. It is WWE. Stands for what, Gus?
World WWE World
Sterling?
Not sure.
World Wrestling, like, entertainment?
Wrestling.
Yeah, World
There we
Wrestling
go.
Entertainment.
Duh. Couldn't remember that second one. Second
it's,
W.
Wrestling.
Wrestling, yeah.
Wrestling.
Yeah, I think I told Sterling how, someone recommends a movie, you can watch it, recommends an album, listen to it, and you have other movies and albums to like kind of compare it to.
Yeah.
This is like Brave New World. It's its own thing, own world. Like there's nothing to really compare it to.
Yeah.
I have no past history with wrestling at all. Do you guys have
No.
anything?
I had friends who liked wrestling growing up, so I sporadically saw it.
Mm-hmm.
It was never really my cup of tea, so I knew going in that I'm not a wrestling guy, so to speak. So I'm actually really surprised that you're into wrestling so much.
That's what I thought too beforehand until I saw.
But what were some of your like preconceptions of wrestling before I had you guys do some of this wrestling watching? Is it the typical fake dumb macho guys being testosterone filled macho?
Before I
dudes?
watched this, or before I ever saw it,
Or like before you watched what you had to for the show, like what did you think of wrestling?
I mean, I don't think my view really changed at all. So
Fake dumb macho guys.
I wouldn't say it is. Well, I mean, it's fake, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's dumb,
Yeah,
so to speak.
I did. I thought I was like, this is pointless. Like if it's fake, why do you? Even
That's what I was like growing up.
Yeah.
But now I see it, and even though it is fake, I mean, like, why should it be treated any different than like a stage show or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or people performing on the street or anything like that. And plus, what they do, it is physically taxing
and demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I mean,
You had
what they do is real
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
So I mean, so in that aspect, I have respect for it. I don't know. Wrestling never really appealed to me as a kid or anything like that. So yeah, most of my knowledge just comes from seeing it at friends' houses.
Cool.
and whatnot.
Sterling, preconceptions.
Yeah, I had actually never watched wrestling before, but I was kind of on the same page, and I was like, oh, this is like, it's obviously staged, so what's interesting to watch about it? Like,
Yeah.
what's compelling about that at all?
Yeah.
And then also, since I'd never seen it before, I didn't realize to what extent, like, how ridiculous it got. That's one thing I never even realized prior to watching it yesterday.
Yeah. So the first thing we all watched was this 25-minute YouTube video called "Wrestling Isn't Wrestling," written and directed by one Max Landis.
One Max Landis.
Yeah, you may know as the writer of the
Son.
film Chronicle, also the series Superman American Alien, which I reviewed on the show. I think it's a really good place to start for wrestling, as I thought it was. But what did you guys think about it?
It gave me a good, I guess, place to jump off of.
I get. Why'd you think it was good?
Because for me, going with the mentality, wrestling is fake. There's no point to it because it's trying to be like an athletic thing, but it's all staged. His point is they're sort of in on it, and wrestling isn't wrestling because it's not. It doesn't ever try to be a legitimate sport. it is more theatric and stage, and it's really more about the stories and characters than the actual wrestling, which I didn't know about. And then I think Landis has a great point of, instead of like listing like a bullet of reasons, like, okay, this is why, defending my point, he just spends like the next 20 minutes going through the whole like saga of one wrestler, Triple H. And not only is it entertaining to watch, but it kind of proves his point. Like, yeah, I was really engrossed in like what he was talking about, and he's only saying it secondhand about a wrestler, and that if you actually watch wrestling, then you're really in on the full story, and that's why people enjoy it, because they're, committed to the story. Does that make sense?
It's real to me.
It's real, yeah. It's real to me too. More thoughts on wrestling? Isn't wrestling? You had some questions.
Yeah,
about it.
that video, like, it kind of got me into the mindset a little bit. I was like, okay, now I know what to expect, but I still didn't really understand like where the narrative came in, like how anyone in the audience understood that there was this huge, like, the Wrestling Isn't Wrestling video was about like 25 minutes long, and he told this, I guess it must have spanned over years.
Yeah,
this
I think he said
narrative
20
about
years.
Triple H. Yeah. 20 years. I was like, okay, I don't know how we're gonna watch 5 hours of wrestling tonight and get any of this. Like, do they explain it? Do the characters talk aloud as they fight?
Yeah.
But a lot of it is almost suggested. I don't know, through their actions and like just through the rivalries that are pit against each other by the company. But yeah.
Gus, any final thoughts? Wrestling Isn't Wrestling.
Stick to screenwriting, Max Landis.
You didn't like it?
No, I'm just kidding. Yes. No, I mean, I can see what you're saying about it being like a good starting off point. I guess.
Because me, it like changed how I saw
I
wrestling.
feel like most people
It set me up.
wouldn't actually use that as a starting point, though. I just, maybe it's because I didn't see that before I ever saw anything wrestling. But to me, it was just like you just go into it.
Okay.
For me, Max Landis was reading too much into it, and it's like,
going into the whole like Game of Thrones, like
I'm sure a lot of wrestling
Purpose
fans
of art.
really do care about the characters and about the story. But I mean, all growing up, I always thought it was like people just like to watch each other throw each other around on stage, which is the crux of the entire company. Yeah, so.
So my concern was that, like, after watching that video, he said, like, yeah, Triple H's story did span over like 20 years, and like, how will I possibly get in now if like stories go on for 20 years? But turns out you don't need to know that.
No.
So we sort of diverted here, where the main sort of text that Gus had to view was the Royal Rumble from 2010, which I talked about last week, and then Sterling and I watched the recent SummerSlam, which was a 5-hour ordeal. Yeah. What'd you guys think watching wrestling for the first time? Sort of first time.
I always enjoyed Royal Rumble in the wrestling video games that I played at people's houses. That was always fun.
That concept is hilarious.
And then watching a Royal Rumble, I just wanted to pick up a controller and get in on the fun,
IRL.
win the Royal Rumble. No, I mean, like I said before, I'm not like super into wrestling or anything like that. It's fun to watch.
So, but what did you think about this Royal Rumble? Like, what?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm leading into. It's like, it's fun to watch. You guys watched wrestling for 5 hours. I could not do that at all. This was enough for me. It was enjoyable enough. It's not my first thing.
Yeah.
Just I guess there's like a disconnect with me because I don't really care about anyone that was on stage at any point or anything like that. So maybe if I personally like tried to invest myself within like a certain wrestler or something. Maybe I could get into it more, but I mean, this is a whole like hobby on its own, really. Yeah. I mean, people get really into this, and so just for me, just like a one-off watching thing, it was just like, yeah, that was enjoyable, but it wasn't like
deep.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't think it's ever deep, which is I don't think is the point.
It didn't hook me to come back.
All right, Jacob, grab a mic if you want to talk. Jacob really wants to say something about wrestling.
We've got Jacob Estrada
He
here,
wasn't supposed to talk now.
all the way
Yes,
from Nacogdoches.
I broke the rules.
We were gonna save him for last, but
He's actually
couldn't help
Yeah,
it.
a wrestler
I
on
forced my way in
weekends.
because I play by my own rules.
all right, Jacob, go ahead.
All right, I was just gonna say I actually used to watch wrestling with. Is this mic on? It's
Yes,
working.
yes,
Okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually used to watch wrestling with my dad from like 7th grade to 10th grade or something. And yeah, I'm gonna say, as somebody who I don't watch wrestling anymore, but as somebody who used to watch wrestling, it is basically just very physical theater.
Yeah.
I never watched it for the physical combat because it was always very clearly not real. I watched it for over the top reactions and passionate rivalries and shouting and very obviously fake betrayals and alliance switches and all that. So yeah, it's physical theater. And no, I never found it to be especially deep, and I never found it to be especially thought provoking or anything. So
Yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
That was my
Sterling
exact
probably
opinion.
has that times 10 because he did stick around for that 5 hours.
5 hours.
which
yeah.
is why I eventually did stop watching, just because I realized as I was going to high school that it's very repetitive theater.
Yeah.
5 hours at a time was a little too much, and I don't see how someone
Agreed.
could watch it every day of the week or anything like that. But I had so much fun. Like, it's so entertaining to see just how ridiculous. I didn't expect the ridiculousness of
Yeah.
it going in. That's the thing.
You
So
didn't
I think-
expect Jon Stewart to come out and almost get his
No, that
balls
also
ripped
made me
off?
happy because I love Jon Stewart. So it was just a huge crazy fest, and
Yeah.
in the best way possible. And I went in like not expecting anything, if anything expecting wrestling, but this was just over the top, and
Yeah.
I was pleased.
And there is a joy in sort of not knowing what the hell is going on
Yeah.
at times. Yeah, it is sort of a madness in a way if you're not in on it. Yeah, 5 hours, it did drag some matches. Like, come on,
Yeah.
get with it. I've seen a lot of people break out of the holes a lot. It's like, yeah, I've seen that a lot. But yeah, it's sort of the unexpected moments, like, people getting like slammed down on the commentator's desk, or some
Yeah.
guy's head bleeding, or some guy beating up some guy on the floor outside the ring. That makes it worth it. But
Totally.
yeah, do you have any compulsion to watch after this?
Actually, yes.
Yes?
Definitely, yeah. We don't have cable, but
We
you've
have
got a 1 month
month
subscription
of
to
WWE
WWE
networks
so-
that we could do.
Yeah, so anytime between now and
Get
September,
our
I'm
money's
definitely
worth.
down.
Actually, I want to say one last thing before we drop the topic of wrestling. I always thought it was weird that certain forms of acting, like theater and Broadway, are typically considered like, they're considered like, not mainstream or like wimpy or like lame or something, but or artsy. But like those same people who like say, "Oh, I'm not into like art or theater or Broadway or whatever," are often the same people who watch wrestling. So, and it is basically theater. So I just always thought it was weird that it's like somehow considered manly and like, macho, even though it's all clearly fake. It's all acting.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob. While you're here, why don't you sit down and maybe
Oh,
we can
okay.
start with our final segment.
Make yourself at home.
On, got to get my notes.
Last thing I want to say is that I have an honorable mention for my favorite album I listened to over the summer for the show. It is the album Always by the band Always. That it's not a W there, it's 2 V's. This was recommended by Jackie Day.
Shout out.
And man, some of these melodies are so good. A lot of earworms here. It is very, indie pop, dream pop. Kind of like the overall sound is kind of like Beach House, but it is more driven by the vocal melodies. And yeah, this is the sort of album where like I don't want to listen to anything really serious or do anything new. I just put this on in the background and it's amazing. So if you guys got time.
I didn't realize it was a Canadian band.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, first album, 2014.
Yeah, CBC Music says the best Canadian album of 2014.
That's the
That's
last.
good to know.
Let's see. Oh, little bias there, you see. Or Canadian albums, never mind. Yeah, but the reason we're not reviewing this album is because we got another album to talk about for the final edition of Who is Bruce Springsteen. It's been a long time. It's been like 3 months we've been doing this, right? 15 albums, 15 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is probably the most controversial addition to the list of.
Yes, I
fought
mentioned that.
hard.
He fought. Yeah, he fought hard. See, Andrew and I were like, we're gonna keep personal taste out of this. This is about albums that change the world. But Sterling was like, no, it has to be this.
Yeah.
And we were all like, yeah, it's a great album, but is it essential? And Sterling's like, yeah.
We can talk about that at towards
Alright,
the end of it. Let's talk about the album.
But yeah, we are talking about Dookie, the third album by Green Day.
Mhm.
Jacob, you listened to it. As always, let's start with your general impressions.
I was supposed to listen to an album.
Jacob, that joke is so old. You said
No,
it
like I
twice.
thought the show was about cum and semen. That's why I watched so much porn last
No,
night.
even Sterling said you made that joke to him.
Oh.
See, that's what I was saying. We were sitting
Called
this morning before class, and I was like, "You listen to Dookie?" And he said, "What's that?"
No, I actually forgot. I did actually legitimately
Oh,
forget. the name of
see,
it.
yeah.
That wasn't a joke. That was me being serious.
Now it's time to be serious.
Anyways,
Dookie.
Okay.
Green Day.
In all seriousness, so as you know, I like scribbled down some notes at the last minute because. Oh, sorry, that is my phone. I scribbled down some notes at the last minute because I thought we were recording tomorrow night, and so I was unprepared. But yeah, so I re-listened to some of the songs. I mostly just wrote notes on the ones that were the most popular. But overall impressions, I really like the punk sound. We discussed this earlier when we were talking about which band was it? You said was it post-punk? Was that?
London, The Clash from
Yeah.
London Calling. Yeah.
I would listen to that. You had listened to some punk songs, and I said I would probably like punk more, and I definitely have. I would say I definitely like this album. I really like their. I really like the intense sound of these songs, and I really like what struck me about it is different from some of the other albums. Is the topics of these songs? A lot of them are just like really everyday relatable things, like boredom, ex-girlfriends,
Masturbating.
Well, yeah, masturbation.
Cum
yes,
semen.
I'm just about to get that.
Cum.
Yeah, fits into the theme of the show.
yeah.
The Wheelhouse, where you come to listen to people talk about semen.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Or cum intended, should I say.
Cum intended.
But yeah, like Longview. I loved how casual it was with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like it's just straight up front masturbation. It's like, yeah, so I was super bored and I'd already like jacked off like 10 times and then I was just like dying of boredom, like, what the fuck do I do next?
That today.
Dude,
Just an average day.
But yeah, it's like I love how casual it is with the lyrics, and I feel like that is still something relatable because in real life, when you get really bored and you run out of things to do, it's like
What are you gonna do? You masturbate, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you've done that, it's like, well, fuck, now what do I do? Then you just die of boredom very slowly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Longview, definitely one of my favorite songs of the album. Also gonna say Basket Case. Really loved this one, and let's see, was this the one that's? Hold on, let me look at my notes for a second.
It's about Billy Joe Armstrong's like panic attacks,
Yeah,
anxiety. That's
yeah. I loved it because I've dealt with a lot of stress and like freaking out and anxiety. So I just like right away I loved how stressed out it made me feel just listening to it. But then it talks about the way he deals with the ways he deals with that stress, which is first he like goes and sees an actual psychiatrist, and then he apparently goes and like sees a male prostitute who tells him
Yeah.
to stop whining and get out of my face.
Yeah. And you can relate to that, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
More Jacob stuff.
That happened to me like just yesterday. That was my last day of summer for me.
Gotta go big.
Make it count.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that day. And also I just thought the lyrics were super catchy.
Yeah.
Like especially that line that gets repeated over and over again. Am I just cracking up?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are my overall impressions.
Yeah. You guys, Sterling, Gus retort. I saw Gus shaking his head at one point.
Oh yeah, Basket Case.
He has
Not a
beef with
fan
Basket
with
Case.
Basket Case.
Gus is not like
Well,
that.
let's hear it then.
You know what? Well, Basket Case is like, it's like the Green Day song, really. Now, I mean, probably like I guess, like Boulevard or some crap like that took its place.
Good riddance.
But
Time of your life.
Wake Me Up.
And so in that regard, I mean, I don't like actually think like Basket Case is a bad song or whatever. It's just one of my, I guess, lesser favorites on the album. But Sassafras Roots is my least favorite. Easy. But did you want what are my highlights or
like
to retort Jacobs?
Yeah, or give your general
Longview
thoughts.
is one of my favorites. Longview's great. I love the bass line at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I actually did make a note of that.
Too.
I couldn't recognize what instrument that was at first, and then it said on Wikipedia it was a bass line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with Longview and I disagree with Basket Case.
Sterling,
Yeah.
this is your
well, fuck you then.
this is your darling.
Yeah, one of my favorite albums ever, if not maybe my favorite. Yeah, I could actually agree that Sassafras Roots is my least favorite track on the album. Yeah. I don't know. The words escaping me right now, but it
sucks.
yeah, it sucks. Honestly, that's what I was looking for.
It's
Thank
a
you.
waste of time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I made no notes of that song, so I guess I didn't remember it very well.
Must have been
No.
terrible.
It's pretty lame. Here, just to get in on the rest of the album, the meat of it all, So Dookie is almost, for. So the thing about Sterling John Gavinski,
yeah.
he's a huge fan of a genre of music known as pop, punku.
Punk.
And so in those, having his goggles on, his pop punk view of the world, I could see how this album would be super super important because this really did it garnered in that sort of it made
style.
it made punk
It revitalized it.
profitable,
Yeah.
super profitable.
And I'll get to that a little more.
And of course they would go. I mean, I think this album has sold more than American Idiot still.
It's their best-selling album. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Hands down.
I mean, they, I guess, reinstated their celebrity with
Yeah. Oh yeah.
American Idiot.
Yeah.
But in terms of this, I think this album is pretty sick from end to end.
Yeah.
My favorite song being the real closer, not the stupid fake All By Myself, which is actually the worst song on the album. It's the hidden track.
Yeah. For
FOD, All By Myself. It's
No
like
notes about
30
it.
seconds. FOD, I love FOD.
How it starts off just acoustic.
Starts off
Yeah.
acoustic and then
Action.
ba-bam.
Sickest
Yeah.
riff on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome song.
One of the best Green Day
Catchy.
songs, hands down.
Fun. It's just a fun track. FOD means fuck off and die.
It's awesome.
But yeah, so this album has a number of great hits too. So I would say it's in terms of the pop punk, sort of stratosphere.
The best of the best.
It's I mean, to me it is. I don't know. Sterling probably likes
Yeah, I would say
Enema.
so. Oh no, this Green Day above Blink, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You love them all.
yeah, I love them all. Yeah, but with the pop punk goggles on, this is the most essential.
Yeah.
But with them off,
It sucks.
Why is this on the list?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Now's the time.
That was your only defense, Sterling.
I was like, okay.
You're like,
Oh, I thought are we gonna talk about it
was
more?
an honest one. It was an honest one.
Yeah, that's
I have some history for you all.
sure.
Okay.
Jacob knows I usually do this little history lesson.
Yes, he does.
Let's begin in 1977. What is important of that year for music? Jacob, do you remember? We talked about this, about London Calling.
The Clash, they switched to like post-punk or something.
No, wrong. Guys, 1977.
Is that Sex Pistols?
That's part of it.
Andrew, I don't think I agree with you on London Calling being post-punk at all.
We're not talking about that now.
I don't think I agree with that.
Well, after the show, we'll settle this
Yeah.
in the ring.
77, it was
Mud wrestling.
punk's arrival, It was
Punk was born, yes.
even though Ramones'
it's
self-titled was
76.
76.
But that's generally the year people's like, that's when punk really blew up.
Yeah.
Saw a quote by one Elvis Costello, who released his debut album, My Aim Is True, in 77 also. He said 77 was not the year of punk. It was the year of the Bee Gees.
True.
Because punk, yeah, is sort of
I
born
would
in that
know.
year, but it never became mainstream.
No.
Even through the 80s, sort of the dominant genre was like glam rock and hair metal that like completely dominated. Punk was always sort of underground that whole time. The genre that did sort of take over was grunge, which came in the late 80s and early 90s, especially with Nevermind by Nirvana, 1991.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, let's go back to 1986. A guy named Billy Joe Armstrong forms a band with a friend, Mike Dirnt, and they call it Green Day. They formed the band in Berkeley, California. They released their first two albums, 39 Smooth and Kerplunk. Kerplunk, the first one with the permanent drummer Trey Cool. Both very successful on indie standards. They released it through Lookout Records. They sold like 30,000, 40,000 per album. Like, that's really great.
Yeah.
For indie.
If I'm not mistaken, Kerplunk sold 9,000 the first week.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah. Especially from like how they started, which
Crazy.
is like nothing.
Especially with such a ugly cover art. Such shitty drawing.
Yeah. So
Dookie's way better.
Yeah. So the first two albums were released through Lookout Records, small label, but the band felt like they were getting too big, and they had to kind of grow up. In a sense.
Shit.
Too
Yeah.
big.
And they made the bold decision to sign with Warner Brothers and
A
Reprise
major
Records.
label.
Yeah, major record label, and it was a decisively unpunk thing to do.
Uh-oh.
Tightwad Hill.
This had happened before. Indie bands moving to big companies and being labeled as sellouts.
Like Husker Du.
In the 80s, Husker Du and the Replacements, but they both moved to. They were sort of exiled by their fan base for moving to major record labels, and they struggled, like even getting radio play.
Yeah.
And for sure, Green Day lost like a contingent of their hardcore original, like Gilman Street fans. But that didn't matter because of what they were working on after their second album, which turned out to be Dookie. They got a new studio, way bigger budget. Whole album was done in 2 months. Which interesting is that all the singing was done in 2 days. Every song, Billy only did 2 or 3 takes, and it was done, which is impressive. Put the album together, had to settle on a name for the album. They chose Dookie because going on tour, they had a lot of bad food, and whenever they had diarrhea, they called it Liquid Dookie. They thought Liquid Dookie is a little too gross, so we'll just take the liquid off and call it Dookie.
Dookie.
Yeah. Dookie released February 1st, 1994 through Reprise Records. Crazy successful. And yeah, there is sort of there's a big sense of fun in it, and it sort of was very distinguished, especially with grunge. And I saw an interesting thing that grunge was spoke to like kids of trauma, whereas sort of Green Day and pop punk and Dookie especially spoke to kids of apathy. And that was a whole generation that felt like they weren't being represented, that they felt disenfranchised.
Like the response to hair metal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was more grunge than
and
Green
then this
Day.
to grunge.
Yeah, and like an entire generation, it sort of unified them. It's not just for jocks or nerds. It's like just in general people who are lonely or bored.
Flannel wearers of
Yeah.
the 90s.
And and also just in true punk fashion is also very anti-establishment. And just like the album cover, like a lot of people
Yeah.
like doodling in their notebooks, like that's something that would look like.
I love the album cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And just like the aesthetic for Green Day too. Green hair, mohawks, that became a big thing.
Edgy.
They were not glamorous at all. Like they on the music videos, they always have zits, and people are like, oh, I have zits too.
Ugly.
Yeah. Brought back the middle finger as like a cordial like hello. And yeah, after Dookie, like it just ushered in a huge another wave of punk music like Blink-182, Offspring, Rancid, Bad Religion had a resurgence. And yeah, Dookie just continued to sell and sell. And it is their best.
Did you know Billy Joe played in Rancid for a short amount of time? Isn't that crazy?
In the band? Oh, I didn't know that.
This is a fun fact. He played
Yeah.
guitar, for a short amount of time, which is nuts.
So yeah,
But yeah.
Dookie is great. I agree.
Production is really great
Yeah.
for this.
They-
That's that Rob Cavallo.
yeah.
I think 90s is at least with like I would never call Dookie like hard rock or anything.
like rock production.
But yeah, in terms of
Yeah.
rock production, I think the 90s had is where it peaked.
I
And
totally agree.
And it's gotten worse because it's just gotten more clean and
Yeah.
polished
Mhm.
since. But anyway,
But one thing I think Jacob I think I'm surprised you didn't mention it, but you say how you like juxtapositions, and like with Nevermind,
Oh, yeah,
a lot of songs start quiet and they get loud.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's something that happens on this album all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm sure
no,
you like that, right?
Yeah, I did make a note of that for Longview. I mean, it does happen on the album a lot, but especially on Longview, it this one critic referred to it as a like quiet loud pattern or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Longview, it starts out like super laid back, and then the bass line happens, which I do love the bass line. Bass line happens for a while, and then like it just immediately out of nowhere it gets really intense.
Mm.
So yeah, that was another thing I liked about the album.
Great. All right, Jacob, I'm scared to ask this, but did you formulate your top 5 albums?
I did not, but I probably could do it right now off the top of my head.
Let's
honestly.
go.
All right,
Off
let's
the top.
whip
Let's
them out.
go.
I have
Freestyle.
It like if it's just the top 5, that shouldn't be too hard.
I could pull up the list quickly of
Yeah, I want to
the
see.
15 albums, and I could quickly run through what they are. We'll go chronologically, which is how we listen to them over the summer. For Who is Bruce Springsteen?
So-
Essential albums for the young Jacob Estrada. Sterling, you had a question? Or?
I was gonna say, you're picking his favorite? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
his
saying?
favorite
Okay.
of the 15. You know,
Yeah.
I think in general you like all the albums, right?
Yeah, almost all.
Which-
The only one I didn't really care for was Kind of Blue because I think it's a little too soon for me to start listening to jazz.
True, yeah.
But yeah,
It's pretty
the
rough.
list goes again chronologically: "Kind of Blue" by Miles Davis, "Pet Sounds" by the Beach Boys, "Revolver" by the Beatles, "The Velvet Underground" and "Nico" by the Velvet Underground, "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye, "Led Zeppelin 4" by Led Zeppelin, "Exile on Main Street" the Rolling Stones, "Dark Side of the Moon" by Pink Floyd, "Born to Run" by Bruce Springsteen, "Rumors" Fleetwood Mac, "London Calling" by The Clash, "Thriller" by Michael Jackson, "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back" by Public Enemy, "Nevermind" by Nirvana, and "Dookie" by Green Day. Jacob, what are your top 5?
So number 1, without question, "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye. I love the subject matter. I love the passion. I love the tone, and I absolutely love Marvin Gaye's voice. It's intoxicating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Number 2 has got to be Led Zeppelin 4. I think that was a given. I told you how much I liked it just immediately right away when I first listened to it.
Yeah.
I love how intense it is, how invigorating, exciting, and just so straightforward. And it's so badass to listen to when you're driving.
That's an amazing album.
That black dog. You love that.
Oh,
black dog.
seriously, dude.
Yeah. All right, number 3.
Number 3. I'm still gonna go with "Dark Side of the Moon" by Pink Floyd. I just really loved how creative it was. I obviously don't listen to a lot of music, as you guys know. That's the whole point of this segment. So I don't know if there's a lot of other albums that do this, but I had never listened to an album where the entire thing was one long piece of music.
Yeah.
So right away that like set it apart for me, and just the way that so much of it is just like the instrumentals or whatever, but even without lyrics, it manages to convey like imagery and like mood and story. Like the one song I still remember from one of the songs I still remember from "Dark Side of the Moon" was "On the Run," which I don't think there were any words at all in that
I don't
song.
think, like actual lyrics, but
Yeah,
like
or
audio
actual
clips.
ly- yeah, like audio clips, whatever, and like it felt very. It did feel like someone was running away from something. It felt very claustrophobic and intense and like nervous. And so yeah, "Dark Side of the Moon" number 3.
Cool.
Number 4.
Oh,
This one's gonna be
Conflicted.
tough. Give me a moment.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff to pick. I know you like Nevermind a lot.
I did.
These early ones, I don't think you were too hot on, but then again, that's really early.
I'm gonna go with Nirvana.
Cool.
Yeah. Again, I liked them because it was very exciting to listen to. Really catchy. I don't have a lot to say about it other than I guess just the lyrics. The music did resonate with me. Like there was that one song about religion that I brought up last time, about how it may be nonsense or it may not make sense, but you know, sometimes people need it to get through.
What is your number 5?
Number 5.
If I did
You know
this,
what?
hold on.
It's gonna be Public Enemy. It's gonna be Public Enemy.
Oh, still like this? When I,
Even though you hate Flava
I
Flav.
despise Flava Flav with a
So-
passion.
so funny.
Fuck Flava Flav. I mean, I don't know what kind of person he is in real life,
He's
but
essential.
his voice was so obnoxious and like scratchy and cringy and weaselly. I just like, yeah.
Sarsaparilla.
yeah, I call it Lampin'. You listen to that in the car?
Huh?
Lampin' with flavor. That's
Oh
shit.
god, yeah. Ugh.
Love that track.
That song made me want to like vomit out my ears.
Dang.
All right, well,
But no, still overall, I loved the album. I absolutely loved. Oh crap, I forgot his name already.
Chuck D.
Chuck D. There we go. Absolutely
Chuck
loved
D's
listening to
great.
him. His voice
His
was
voice
like
is
so
awesome.
intense and straightforward and like commanding. His voice really filled out the album. I love again like what's going on. I love the subject matter.
Yeah.
The tone, the passion, and just what's the word I'm looking for here?
Come.
Yes, come see me.
I came listening to Marvin Gaye's voice.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely did, actually. I guess I would just say the rhythm and the beat because it's the only... This was the only rap album on the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
The hippity hop.
Yeah, and so it's for that because of that also it stood out from the rest of the song albums for me. So yeah, Public Enemy number 5.
Gus Sterling, quick thoughts on Jacob's top 5.
Solid list.
Solid?
It's
Solid.
yeah, it's I mean,
Well, everything's here.
yeah, I mean,
You can't go
it's
wrong.
15
Yeah.
of the most acclaimed albums ever. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to see
Yep.
how
Yeah.
people would differ, because mine differs quite a lot. But I mean, I like all
Yeah.
those. Albums,
I wouldn't have guessed
so.
that list, TBH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought Thriller would be on there. but-
Yes, I
Yeah,
thought.
I was surprised by the songs that weren't. I thought I would have put Thriller on there, and I guess I'd probably put Thriller at number 6.
Nice.
Because Michael Jackson is just, I mean, he's Michael Jackson. What do I really need to say?
He's the king.
Yeah. I was also surprised. I ended up not putting the Beatles on the list because they were one of the bands I'd listened to the most before going in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of like assumed that that since I was familiar with them, I would end up putting them higher on the list. But I didn't. I don't know. It was the bands I wasn't familiar with that ended up winning me over. So
Well,
Cool.
Jacob, thank you for doing this with us. Really
absolutely,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Maybe if we're around for another year, we could do Who is Johnny Cash?
Who's
And go
who
through another 15
is
albums.
Johnny Cash?
Sure, why not?
There is plenty more out there, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Jacob, thanks again for doing this.
Thank you.
thank
It
you.
was a pleasure.
That's the one more thing we have to do, us three, is give our recommendations.
Give our pitches.
Yeah, let's get those out of the
Whoa.
way. I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm the one doing the album. Usually Gus is the one doing albums all the time, but this time it's me with Moondance, one of my favorite albums of all time. Third album by not on this album.
Oh,
Van Morrison, Irish singer. His voice is so unique. It could be very
Yeah.
soft and tender, but also very growly. He's usually growly. Yeah, some really great blues rock, but also with some soul and jazz elements mixed in. Everything has a great melody, and also just the backing band also is like really top notch. It kind of reminded me of the band, and how like
the band.
you feel like there's a camaraderie between all the musicians. Like they kind of like can communicate while they're playing, and like Van Morrison's leading, but they're all like following him, and
All right.
it's just one great giant piece. I love this album. I like it more than Astral Weeks, which is I think his second album. Also great, but I like this more because it is more melodic and poppy. Gus, what are you recommending?
All right. I got a app this time. Well, I
Video
guess a video
Well, that's usually
game.
what I do.
What Andrew usually does. It's a game called Reigns. I believe it was released this year. I
think so, yeah.
tried. Oh, 2016. Yeah. I tried like looking stuff up very briefly, but there's not much out there. It's by Devolver Digital.
They're awesome.
And so you're familiar with them?
Yeah, they publish a lot of cool games like Hotline Miami.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
I love how
they do a lot of like those ultra violent like pixel indie games.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think. They did Luftrausers. You know that one?
I've heard of
German
it.
plane thing?
Yeah.
They do like
Anyway, I figured Andrew, you'd probably get a kick out of this game.
But what is it? What do you do?
So how the interface is, it's kind of like a Tinder. So you'll be swiping right and left. It is not a dating game though. Well, I mean, there might be dating aspects. Who knows?
But it's no hateful boyfriend.
It's no hateful boyfriend. It's better. There are pigeons in this game, though. Basically, you're going through the ages as a king. And have you ever played Rogue Legacy, Andrew?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay,
I know what it
well,
is.
never mind. Well, anyway,
You die and you come back.
Yeah, and it's like you live this long.
Yeah,
period
yeah,
of time. This is kind of the same way. Anyway, so yeah, you'll keep going through the game and you'll keep unlocking new cards that get added to the deck that you swipe and whatnot. And you have 4, I guess, meters. The church. I guess the power of the church, the population, I guess like the happiness of the population, your military and the treasury. And so you want to have like a happy balance of all 4, because if they get too high or too low, you probably are going to die, and you obviously will die. And so I don't want to obviously spoil anything that happens or anything. I'm not going to tell you. I'll just say I'm not going to tell you much. I'll just say play to the end, and I'll just leave it at that. I won't tell you when that is because I don't want to spoil it or anything like that. Yeah. And just go for as many things as possible. I will say if you're doing it and bye Jacob.
Bye Jacob.
If you're playing and you're like I keep feeling like I keep doing the same things, definitely try and answer a card a different way than you usually do.
Save the date, am I right?
Save the date, it's just
Stuck
a
it to the end.
1,000 times better.
Okay.
Very
Can't
end.
stand save the date.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Sterling,
Ready.
what do you got?
I'm recommending a TV show called Rick and Morty, which, as Wikipedia describes it, is an American adult animated science fiction sitcom. So it's created by Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, who made the show Community, that I'm sure you guys are familiar with to some extent. It's on Adult Swim. It's really funny. It's a super fun science fiction show. It's kind of based off very loosely, like the premise of Back to the Future. Think about it like that.
Yeah.
You've got this young boy and this scientist guy. He's actually his grandpa.
I actually have a question about that.
Yeah.
So I always figured that it was I guess referencing at the most
At some point, yeah.
to Back to the Future, and I'm not a Back to the Future kind of guy.
Yeah, it's nothing like Back to the Future.
Okay, because that's why I've never had an interest in the show. Really,
That's the only
It's 'cause
thing
I
is
was
that it's like
I don't really care.
It's you got this young guy and this old guy, and they travel through space and time together.
Yeah.
Essentially,
it's Adult Swim, so
Yeah.
it's adult.
it's hilarious.
Well, I knew that, but
that's one
It's
thing I
not
can
like
add
some
too.
PG Marty McFly,
Marty
make like a tree
McFly.
nonsense.
Not at all. This show is just ahead of its time. It's so funny and it's got so many layers and it's so good. So I'm picking 3 episodes from season 2, which was the last season.
How do you call a show that's in syndication right now ahead of its time?
I would say I'm worried about it being canceled, but
Oh no!
Yeah,
Really?
but it has a huge
seems
fan
so
base.
yeah, it seems so popular. Yeah.
but it's got I would say a
it's
cult fan
following,
base. Yeah,
which means not big,
Really?
which
I mean,
means
it seems like everyone's fucking talking about this show.
maybe so.
everyone on the.
I'm gonna go ahead and
in
say
your
that it's.
circle,
I'm gonna
yeah.
take back ahead of its time and say progressive. So you guys can
Okay.
check it out and see what you think. I love it,
Mhm.
and I think both of you guys will love it. That's all I
Yeah.
have to say.
I've heard great things,
Cool.
but just sort of thing like TV shows, a lot of commitment, especially now.
He
they're
said
not
3
being-
episodes,
Yeah,
right?
so no, it's a non-linear
No,
plot
yeah.
for the most part.
But why I didn't get into it beforehand,
Yeah.
there's so much to catch up on. But
What's nice is this show you don't really have to catch up for the most part. So 3 episodes.
cool.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
pitch Lost the entire
No.
series.
The entire series.
Game
That
of
is
Thrones,
6 seasons.
the entire thing.
That ain't shit compared to Lost.
The Wire.
I'm gonna pitch The Simpsons every episode.
No.
Every episode.
All right.
Sweet.
all of my children. Every episode for the past 50 years.
Good lord.
Okay.
We were at the end.
What was that? Episode
Yeah.
30.
30. Yeah.
Episode
Nice.
30. We're back to save you from Andrew.
Yeah.
Yes, please take the weight. I've done so many episodes by myself. It's nice to have.
All
other people
right.
talk.
You
We're
know,
back.
at this point, you know where to contact us. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Where is it?
Wheelhousecast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's the
Facebook?
email. Yeah. What about
Wheelhousecast at
Facebook.com.
facebook.com.
No, it's actually Facebook.com/WheelhouseCast. How about the Twitters?
Wheelhouse Cast.
At Wheelhouse Cast, actually, but that was close enough. And what's the last one?
You can find us on
SoundCloud?
Instagram. I don't know.
No,
What is
YouTube.
it?
Gus, if you want, as the head of the advertising department, you could, if you want, to take the initiative and make an Instagram account. Now, I would not put
That ain't
that.
happening.
I would not prioritize that over the posters and flyers, but something to think about.
Yeah.
You can
Get on
find
that.
us on Tinder or Formspring.
No, you can find us on iTunes, where you can subscribe to our feed and also rate and review us. Still one review, but it's so good. That's all we need. No, we need more. Thank you, Sterling. Thank you, Gus.
Thanks, Andrew.
And the show's over.
That's it.
We have reading to do for class.
So much work.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't die again like last time.
What do you mean die? You were here the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Goodbye.